The outcry over that massive Equifax breach has just gotten more disastrous. The Wall Street Journal front page article reporting that Cisco's system sounded the alarm back in March, raising red flags about an online security flaw, and then on the same day distributed an emergency patch imploring all users to fix the problem stat. But despite Cisco's urgent warning, Equifax revealed a week and a half ago that hackers did indeed access the personal data of 143 million Americans, as the company somehow continued using the flawed software. No doubt Cisco researchers who warned Equifax are shaking their heads today as the number of class action lawsuits against Equifax has ballooned to 50 and climbing. Joining me now in a Fox Business exclusive, Cisco Executive Chairman John Chambers, who, by the way, announced today he's stepping down as Executive Chairman of the company he ran for 20 years. John, notice I didn't say retire. You're not retiring, but it's amazing, right? All these years.
It's been a lot of fun, Liz. I've been on your show over those 20 years many times, and I will stay as executive chairman until December when our next session is with our shareholders for a review. But it's been an exciting run. You know, we changed the world. We changed the way you work, live, learn, and play. We really created a culture in one of the most admired companies in the world.
Yeah. Hey, John, let me interrupt you here. We've got a live picture of President Trump meeting with Emmanuel Macron, the president. And, you know, as they come together, I'm quite sure that they would probably be talking about things like terrorism and certainly the European Union, the Paris Climate Accord. But what do you hope they crystallize in their conversations?
Well, Liz, it's amazing. Emmanuel Macron is a great leader. I know him very well. He's been to my house for dinner with startups here in Silicon Valley. We've taught MBA courses together in France. We've been in front of the press about a digital France and how France could be a startup nation for the future. We said the next biggest thing in Europe would be France 2.5 years ago. It would become the startup nation it has. So what I'd hope they'd share about might surprise many Americans is I think we need to become the startup nation again across our entire country. So I think watching what is occurring in Israel, watching what is occurring in France, what's occurring in India, there are many things that we can also focus on here back in the States in terms of a startup nation, because that's where all the job creation will occur. That's where the income increases will be for American households. That's my personal passion as well, Liz.
Well, they just shook hands and they've been thanking everybody. And the president has shown admiration going to France on Bastille Day to be with Emmanuel Macron, a banker, I should add. So he is indeed quite the businessman. I do want to get to this Equifax story. Front page news in the Wall Street Journal that, you know, it's entitled, "We've Been Breached Inside the Equifax Hack." Your guys found the flaw, and ostensibly they notified everybody who used this system to patch the vulnerability immediately. And somehow the Equifax guys either ignored it or couldn't pull it off. Now half of American adults are compromised. Speaking broadly and generally, how does something like this happen?
Well, Liz, when you think about the broad approach to cybersecurity, you're going to see organized crime, rogue nation states, et cetera, focus on every individual and every company in the world. And that's why security has to be such a key part of every company's strategy. And it's why Cisco is focused as security is our #1 strategy 5 years ago. So when you think about a digital world where 500 billion devices get connected very shortly, security has to be able to protect you from all those different aspects. So we're the #1 player in enterprise security, and today's events just point again how important it is to every company around the world.
Speaking of every company, I mean, is it possible that Equifax is just the tip of the iceberg and that other companies may have to reveal they were hacked as well?
Liz, I think you're going to see security and cybersecurity issues continue to be front and center. When I talk to board of directors around the world and I talk to them about digitization and how that's the next big frontier for them as every company becomes digital, and hopefully Cisco partners with them to achieve those goals, security must be a part of that solution. It can't be an afterthought. Average company has about 45 to 60 security vendors. If you don't tie those products together in an architecture, all the bad guys do is find the weakest point. That's why Cisco is so focused on this area, and hopefully the network will be the center of how you prevent these type of attacks in the future.
You must have done something right in your 20 years because your researchers caught it, dealt with it back in March. I mean, and they sent out the warnings, which is just brilliant, right?
Well, you're being very kind, Liz. In the last 20 years, we probably more than any other company have reinvented ourselves multiple times. We don't tend to focus on products. We focus on market transitions, the internet changing the way you work, live, learn, and play, the importance of acquisitions to innovations, and we've done 200 of them. We took the company from 70 million in sales to 50 billion. When I joined the company, 400 people. It's now 75,000. And if there's one thing we've done well, it's getting market transitions right, being very tight with our customers, and integrating those transitions and products to solve their innovation problems. And that's what architecture is about for security.
Got to be malleable. Look, having lived, breathed, and built Silicon Valley over the years, John, what do you make of the backlash that some of the biggest names are enduring, not from customers, but cries are getting louder that Valley giants like Facebook and Google have too much power and influence? And I'm talking about coming from governments. The European Union going after Google for anti-competitive behavior. The U.S. government questioning Facebook in the crosshairs for allowing Russia to buy election ads. Are these companies really needing to start defending themselves from governments, including our own?
Well, Liz, you're asking a very complex topic, and we could almost do a full session on it. I'd probably break it into a couple pieces. First of all, I think it's very important that every company, not just Silicon Valley, technology-wise, work with governments around the world to realize that we've got to solve these problems together. Nobody can do it by themselves. Secondly, the bigger issue that you're raising is it can't be just Silicon Valley creating the job creation of the large companies. It has to be across every country, and it has to be across all of the U.S., not just in the East Coast and the West Coast. It's got to be through Central America and the southeastern part of the U.S. In France, as an example, they literally looked at digitization of their country, and this is President Hollande and now President Macron doing this, and they said, we need to become the startup engine for all of Europe. They partnered with Cisco, and I was with both leaders on the strategy, and I said France would not only be the next big thing, it would become the startup nation in Europe. In a period of 2 years, they moved from about 120 startups in high tech, being venture capital back to 486. So there's no entitlement. And what I think you're seeing is the high tech companies have to be aware it has to be our whole country that benefits. And I think what you see is Israel, France, India really focused on getting that inclusion, both geographic, age, religion, etc. And we need to do the same thing in the U.S. to where my home of West Virginia and Ohio and North Carolina and Georgia and Indiana, where I've lived, feel like they're participating in this future as well as Silicon Valley.
John, before we go, and we literally have 20 seconds, but you have been an outspoken Republican. You weren't initially a fan of President Trump's. How's he doing?
Well, I think if you judge from the results of our country, the stock market's at a new high, and you begin to look at job creation, it's going very, very well. So always focus on the outcomes. I do want the Republicans and Democrats to work together. I'm a moderate Republican. That's an endangered species in today's world.
Well, you know, who knows? He's going with Chuck and Nancy, Schumer and Pelosi, and maybe some centrist Republicans will go along with some type of tax reform. John, good to see you.
Thank you, Liz. It's a pleasure.
Good luck with your next generation effort, right? You're not done. You're far from done. Be sure to go to lizclayman.com, everybody, to watch more of my exclusive interview with Cisco Executive Chair John Chambers. Wait till you hear what he's doing now.